The views and opinions expressed during Eye on the Triangle do not represent WKNC or NC State student media. Your dial is currently tuned to Eye on the Triangle on WKNC 88.1 FM HD1. Thanks for listening. Good morning, everyone. Hope you're enjoying your day. My name is Emilia Rivadeneira, host of Eye on the Triangle, and with further ado, let's get into some news.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Nubian Minute, your go-to podcast for breaking down headlines that impact Black students, minority communities at NC State, and around the world. I'm Julia Cox, a writer for the Nubian Message.
I'm Ayana, also a writer for the Nubian Message.
I'm Jonathan, a writing and photography correspondent for the Nubian Message.
And I'm Blake, writing correspondent for the Nubian Message.
So I wanted to start off this episode talking about the whole controversy with Coca-Cola that's happened recently. Have you guys heard about that?
No.
So there has been allegedly rumors that Coca-Cola has reported their own immigrant workers to ICE. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That is crazy.
And so there's massive backlash about this because obviously people are having issues with this. Like, why would you report your own workers?
Yeah.
Nonetheless, anyone. But I mean, how do you guys feel about that?
That's insane to me. Because why? I don't know. just like why? That makes no sense. Is this like nationwide? Is it just?
I don't know if it's
Or-
nationwide. They're like, there's no open public apology or anything. Like
Mhm.
Coca-Cola hasn't said anything to acknowledge this.
Yeah, that's insane.
I feel like it's very unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it borders on exploitation. Because why? You know?
Do you guys think this is a trend that we could see in other corporations as well? Or do you think it's more of a one-off rumor?
I think it's a trend that we'll see, like especially with President Trump, him being very strong-armed about immigration and people who are undocumented. It'll probably be a lot of other corporations who exploited immigrant workers or workers who are undocumented here, and they're now going to try and fire those workers or claim that they never had association with them just to protect themselves from the Trump administration going in and then getting rid of these workers. And then all these workers say, oh, I worked for this company for however long. So it's just them covering themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Not even for just corporations, but I saw this weird tweet recently, and it was a teacher. I don't know where he worked, but he had like added ICE and said, "There's an immigrant student in my class that doesn't speak English. Come to this school," which is insane.
Yeah, I saw
like,
that.
Yeah, kids aren't
Yeah.
even safe in school now.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's way too much. Because I get the whole wanting to have safe borders and everything. But, like, we all the way lost the plot with it at this point. Like,
Yeah.
it's not that serious.
Mm-hmm.
I saw another video of this man. He owned a farm, some type of like animal, care for food business. And he was talking about his political beliefs and how he was like he was anti-immigration and voted against it and all that stuff. But he was like, I think around half of my workers are immigrants who are undocumented.
Mm-hmm.
And he like admitted that, and the man who was interviewing him was like, do you think that's going to affect you at all? Like, are you concerned about your business? And it was just complete cognitive dissonance. Like, he didn't acknowledge that at all. He was like, no, I don't think so.
Mm. And then you lose all your workers. Now what?
And going off of that topic, also with the change in legislation, have you guys seen the information about Guantanamo Bay in regards to undocumented immigration?
I have not.
Ish.
Have you guys heard of Guantanamo Bay? Are you familiar with it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like it's a very intense prison,
Mm.
And Trump is trying to put people who do not have proper documentation in that prison for just not having proper documentation in the country.
Mm.
I know Guantanamo Bay should have been shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear stories about it, and in my opinion, nobody should be sent there. Period. But definitely not for, you said, not having documentation.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, because it's giving concentration camp.
Mm.
I think that's an unprecedented approach to dealing with people who are here undocumented, because these people are usually trying to escape a country that's where they're facing persecution, or there just isn't any opportunity for the quality of life that we have here in America. So sending these people to prison is not helpful. We should develop programs to help them stay here or return them to their country with things that will help them attain a better life than what they currently had or were sustaining.
Yeah, I think that's even one of those things of, like, even if you consider it a crime, the punishment doesn't fit the crime at all. Sending somebody to one of the worst prisons in America,
Right.
not only now, but historically, like Guantanamo Bay should have been shut down. Just for being undocumented is crazy.
And reportedly, according to ProPublica, they've already identified a dozen individuals who have been flown to Guantanamo Bay purely for their immigration status.
It's crazy.
That's gotta be illegal, isn't it?
I mean, there's a lot of
Should be.
things that have been happening that I think should have been illegal,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I will add, so I read this article from Routers, and it says that the U.S. naval base in Guantanamo Bay, which is in Cuba, that we have been talking about here, already houses a migrant facility separate from the high security U.S. prison for foreign terrorism suspect. And this facility actually has been used on occasion for decades, including to hold Haitians and Cubans picked up at sea.
Mm.
So, yeah, I mean, I agree. This is kind of crazy that it is happening again to like hold immigrants. But yeah, it has happened before, and yeah, it is something that we'll definitely have to like keep like looking in the news and like see what's like going on with that. But yeah, so kind of like changing more to the subject, like closer to home, closer to NC State. What do you guys think about like housing and like just like classes increasingly like growing every year? And like, have you guys heard that they want to like tear down Braga and Sullivan, allegedly?
Yeah, I think that's going to be really hard to navigate as a student. Like, it's still technically my first year, but I had a lot of transfer credits. So the housing that I had to apply for today was a whole thing. Fortunately, I was able to secure housing, but it really isn't like that for everyone. And when you keep adding more people into the class size and you're prioritizing the freshmen and those with less credits, you know, people who have been here already are getting fewer and fewer chances to be able to reliably secure housing.
I think it's especially unfair to people who can't necessarily afford off-campus housing, because especially in the Raleigh area, most of the housing places, they don't want you to have a short-term lease. They want you here the entire year, and they want you to be able to pay on time. So that's really unfair to especially the out-of-state students who don't want to necessarily stay here during the summer, or even just students who really just can't afford to live off campus.
I'd agree.
Yeah, that seems kind of backwards to me. I don't live on campus, and I don't plan on living on campus, but it seems kind of weird that we don't just expand and maybe build more housing buildings and parking to accommodate everyone. That's what I feel like would help.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of backwards because a lot of people crashing out right now because they don't have housing, and it's like our first year. So
Right.
not having housing as a second semester freshman is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I spent lunch like with all my friends. Some of us got Wolf Village, And some of us have to pick tomorrow and plan on transferring to UNCC if they don't get the housing that they want.
And speaking of, the housing is not aligning with the amount of parking that they give out. We have an overflow of cars and students trying to get onto campus, especially on Centennial. And they have this overflow section, but it's about a 10-minute walk away from the dorms. Actually, no, it's about 25 minutes. Now I think about it. And whenever we have like production night and events that we have to stay out late for and walk back from the overflow, it's only a woods. So it's like a sidewalk next to no street lights. I don't know why the street lights on campus are so bad, but like it's just like really dark and it's pretty dangerous, especially if you're a girl alone at night. And I think that overall, increasing in the student population without increasing in parking spots in like convenient areas that are safe and well lit is important, and they need to do better with that because a lot of people are getting parking passes but then have nowhere to park. So that's ridiculous. And on a lighter note, I think we should talk about someone's review of what was the album?
Oh, it's called Above by Mad Season. It's somewhat of a super group with artists from a lot of Seattle grunge bands, especially Alice in Chains with Lane Staley, their lead singer, and Mike McCready, the lead guitarist from Pearl Jam.
What made you want to review that album?
It's personally one of my favorite albums, and I feel like it's underrepresented and talked about in the rock and especially the grunge scene. It's very emotional, and especially with how many of their lives ended and the things that they discussed throughout the album, it was almost kind of foretelling the future that would lie for them, unfortunately.
Is there anything that spoke to you in particular?
No, not to me personally, but it's just kind of the different topics and how dark and deep they were. You can just really hear it in his voice.
And what would you give it 1 out of 10 for a rating? Like, would you recommend it to others to listen to?
I would recommend it to anybody. I think it's a worthwhile listen.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. We have created a segment of our own. This will be the Nubian Minute, continuing on WKNC every single week, and we appreciate your support. We'll continue to have topics to cater to the needs of everybody. But thank you so much. See you next week. Bye.
Ciao.
Peace.
Bye.
This has been your host, Emilia Rivadeneira. Thanks for listening to Eye on the Triangle. For back episodes of the show, go to wknc.org/podcasts. Music in today's episode is Krakatoa by Noah Stark, licensed under Creative Commons.